Jesus was big on food. As you catch up for festive activities and plan your Christmas meals, picture this: a seat at the table with the king. Next to him was the biggest embezzler in the kingdom. The king knew this, but instead of sending him to prison, he invited him to dinner, along with a motley crew of gardeners covered in dirt, bricklayers with potty mouths, single mothers with screaming babies, old men covered in warts, the disabled, the poor, and then, of course, you. What would you do if you were the king? Who would you invite to your table? Jesus was big on food. So much of his ministry on earth was centered around food. His first miracle was turning water into wine at a wedding feast, saving the celebration from chaos and disappointments. He ate with disciples, tax collectors, and prostitutes, and other sinners, much to the disgust of the Jewish religious leaders and holy men. Jesus hosted the biggest shared lunch documented in history. He took a boy's lunch and magically multiplied it to feed 5,000. You see, in Matthew 14:16, when it was late, instead of sending the crowd home, Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." Eating together was special, and Jesus knew it. His parable spoke of banquets at the Master's house and modeled how we are to open our homes like the Lord has mercifully opened heaven's doors to us. You see, something special lies in eating together. It is not just the physical action of eating, it is so much more than that. When human beings gather together for a meal, there is an exchange of love. Food that's lovingly prepared, time that's lovingly set aside to come along, and the moments afterward with full bellies when things are lovingly tidied away. Just as we humans need physical nourishment, we need food for our spirits, but sadly some people are not getting that either. People are looking for love in all the wrong places, constantly starving for that emotional acceptance. At Christmas time, we often eat like kings and sit around with stuffed stomachs and food left over. If you are in a position to host a meal and invite a new friend, would you add someone extra to the list? A no strings, just bring yourself, we will feed you invitation. Someone unlikely. Would you bring a stranger into your home? An orphan, a foster kid, an elderly person, a foreigner with no family in New Zealand? Would you offer them food but feed them with acceptance and love when it's unearned? We cannot call ourselves followers of Christ if we don't follow his example. In Luke 15:12-14, Jesus said to his host, "When you give a luncheon or dinner, do not invite your friends, your brothers or your sisters, your relatives or your rich neighbors. If you do, they may invite you back, and so you will be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed. Although they cannot repay you, you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous." And if you are not able to offer a meal to someone else, would you have the courage to ask someone for a seat at their home or reach out to a church? And remember that there is a seat at the heavenly table waiting for you. Jesus has made a way for you to be there. All you need to do is acknowledge him as the King and believe he is the Lord who died and rose again, taking our penalty for sin.